Okay. All right, we will call the Admin and Finance Standing Committee meeting to order for Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. First up, approve September 9th and 23rd meeting minutes. Anybody get a chance to review those?
Yes. I apparently missed them, for whatever reason, but I trust Chelsea.
That's a good, the last month, that's a risky move. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. I will second. All those in favor?
Sure.
Okay.
Aye.
Your face.
Okay. Resolution for fiscal year 24-25 budget amendments. It's up for action tonight. Anybody have any questions on those? Because,
These are the same ones that we covered
yeah.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. So,
Yeah.
Lonnie, any input? Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Mayor? No. We're good?
We're good.
Comments? All right.
The only thing I will add, just kind of related to that, is, I did include in the packet the budget summary that we have to include as part of our report to the state.
Yes.
So we made that available to the public and everything out there. Were there any questions on anything in that you guys have, or?
I already moved. Okay.
Yeah, it's all stuff we've talked about. It's just kind of documenting and putting it out there for public
Okay.
consumption.
All right, and next up, we have resolution 2, support petition for annexation into the rural fire district. Jonathan, was kind enough, I guess, to write this up for us, correct?
Yep.
And, it is in the packet. Basically, it just explains the 40%, the petition will be mailed out to all property owners within the city limits of Red Lodge. We have to get yeses back on 40% or more of the real property value, and 40% of the tax, 40% of the taxable value and 40% of property owners. Both of those have to be met, which we know, in order for that to go through. It does spell out what will happen. We mail it out. If we get it back, and we don't meet those thresholds, then we will reach out to the people that didn't return it.
I wasn't sure how I felt about the process. I didn't necessarily understand the all the action of stuff that was here. After that time frame, the city shall attempt contacts with each property owner. I guess I see a value in starting with an email, but this kind of went into process and stuff that I didn't remember we had talked about at all.
Well, we talked about it at the meeting. I didn't really know that it was going to be in the resolution. We're welcome to take that process out, so we're not beholden to it, I guess. And just have that be in the background, in case we decide to go a different route of contacting people. I'm fine with that, but.
The Public Health and Safety had a short discussion on this. On the second whereas, it says Montana Code annotated holds that even after, they really hated that word even.
What I'm curious of, I'll check in the background.
Even after the necessary.
I'm wondering if that's actually a copy from 7-33-2125. That doesn't mean that you couldn't start your copy.
Anyway, they objected to the word even.
Oh, yeah, we can strike that. Because it's not in the next whereas.
No.
It doesn't say provided that even after approval. It
Yeah.
just says provides that after approval. So, we could definitely strike the even if you want to do so. I think it's a deal breaker.
I hit huge, yeah.
One way or the other, so.
Lonnie, what level of effort is it for staff to prepare and send something out? What is our time and cost?
Depends on how many we're sending and what we're sending. So,
Because we've done it for the lead pipe assessment and some of that other stuff.
so this will affect all property owners?
It's
Right,
property owners, not voters.
Right, all property owners, not, and so it's commercial, residential, Yeah.
But
We
you
would
Vacant
need a
lot.
spreadsheet that had the property owner, and it would also have to have their
Value.
taxable value would be,
it's really important, because it has to be 40% of taxable value of property.
is that something we would go to the county to get, or do we have it?
We don't have it, no, Department of Revenue. would.
Yeah, the
So
Montana.
Department of Revenue is where we'd have to go in.
It would be simpler.
We would have to work with Department of Revenue to get a file from them with property owners' names, addresses, and
Taxable value, like a spreadsheet would be good, because then you could, sort it by the value of the property.
And if we're putting that in the process, I'm adding that as a first one, just because we'd have to do that before we can do anything else.
That would be
Right.
the first process, yeah.
So, and then once we would get that file from them, then, I don't know, it will take us, I mean, it's not gonna be something we can turn around in a day,
Yeah,
No.
no.
so.
And then what you'd have to send out would be the notice with the voting and an envelope as well.
So usually when we do mailings, we just hold the notice, we have a folding machine, and we just hold the notice, tape it, and then, we do a bulk mailing, we use the chamber's,
Adisha?
bulk postage rate thing, so,
But then it would be up to the property owner
To return.
to do something after that,
So,
which would
yeah,
be
so if I look at his paragraph, I'm okay with the city's gonna cause a petition to be created and be mailed out to everybody. I'm okay with that. I don't think each property owner shall be given X days. I think just after X number of days, you move on to the next step, because the other sounds like a, you better
Yeah.
respond or else sort of a thing.
Right.
But the part after that time frame, the city attempt contact with each property, I'm not comfortable with that just from a scalability issue. So,
One more
um,
time?
so,
She was trying.
the way it says right now, it says, we'll mail it out to everybody, we'll give them X number of days. I don't like to give them X number of days. I think after 60
Yeah, no,
days,
no, definitely not.
there's an additional effort to contact them, but I don't like necessarily saying that's the city's responsibility, because we don't have the staff to do that.
It could be a secondary mailing, second notice.
No, well, I think you're gonna wanna start reaching out to people.
But is it us, is it the fire district, how, is it a volunteer group, is it that's not gonna be,
I think you can't really rely on the fire department or
Or
the.
volunteers.
Or volunteers.
That's what
I
they
think if
did.
the city I know, but it was Bear Creek.
yeah, it's,
I mean, if
who
people-
came and knocked on your
Okay,
door in Bear
just a
Creek?
sec, just a sec. If people want, if the city wants us to go through,
Lonnie
it's
did
gonna be up
something.
to the city to do the work.
Yep.
And I
Okay.
think that's, I mean, it's freeing up $300,000 in your budget, we're just gonna have to make the time to make it happen.
Yep.
And whether it's council stepping up, admin and finance, you know, all of us on council reaching out to our constituents
Make the cops
And-
do it.
yeah, and having that conversation with people, I mean, that's on us.
And then,
We need to create a budget for that, and honestly, if you just do a mailer, mail it and do it as a notice, nobody's going to respond. If you did that, if you did a city envelope, and within that is another envelope with the mailer where they could rip off the bottom and vote,
Yeah.
that would get more response than just a notice. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need to have a, and I think this is what you're saying, you need to have a response deadline for the property owner. Otherwise, it's gonna go in the pile and say, I'll get around to this
Yeah.
sometime,
Yeah.
and they'll never get around to it. So if they have a short deadline to respond,
and I think it's a requested deadline, not a dictate,
No.
And then make it easy.
Please respond by, that's all you need.
The other thing he goes into in his second paragraph is a percentage of those that have objected and everything else, and the reality is that has no bearing at all. What we care about is the 40% who approved. So
Right.
somebody who objected or who didn't answer is one and the same.
No, if they don't answer, those are the ones we reach out to.
I know, yeah.
or you do like the county always does. If you don't respond, it's an affirmative.
No, you can't do
But
that.
I've
I like
received those
that.
from the county,
Yeah.
that it's considered a positive response. If you don't respond,
But
we're
for,
assuming you approve.
yeah, for this, that won't fly for
I
this.
know.
Yeah.
That's how the county has passed some things.
Huh.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it. I have a high level of confidence in their ability to follow the rules when they're aware of them. That seems like something that their attorney would not have let them do either, so.
But I like the concept,
Yeah.
I know.
Don't.
but we wanna make it easy for them to respond.
Okay, noted.
And so that's gonna need a budget, because then you've got 2 envelopes and, you know, it's a lot more work.
And you're paying for postage up, now, in one sense, so maybe that's part of what's gonna be here, is the, part of the whereas is the city allocates a budget of X, because this is gonna be an expenditure,
You got $4,000
And-
you saved on an election.
yeah,
That should cover it.
because the other thing is, at that point, and it's not quite the same, yeah, it's not the same mailing letter, and say, ooh, we could have just sent that out instead. It's basically the city making an investment to increase our tax income that we have available in the general budget, is really what it is.
Here's an idea, because we're tech savvy. Can they vote online?
I don't know if,
You'd have to be able to verify that there's not double voting and all sorts of things like that.
yeah, I'm guessing a petition is a signature.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would have to be.
Well, e-signatures are accepted by the federal government.
Yeah, I can do
Just
homework and
saying.
look it up, but there's two
Heck, we
things
do
too. I
need
wanna
them.
be able to pass the sniff test. The reality is, we are raising people's taxes as this goes through.
Right.
And I wanna be able to answer, knowing how we wanna be able to answer that question, we behave with that in mind.
Okay, so,
You gotta be able to tell us how much our taxes are gonna go up.
That's exactly what they need to
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, and I think we can do an approximate, so include an approximate of,
yeah, when we write the petition, we're gonna wanna include that,
Oh, definitely.
you know,
And the chief said that, it would be about the same as the ambulance district that you see on your taxes.
have we seen that yet? Is that just now gonna hit this year?
well, we've had it, yeah, it's been for years.
No, we just passed
It
it.
should be the 2025 taxes, so when the taxes come out in another couple of weeks.
The ambulance district's been around for a while.
Right, for Red Lodge, but not other places, right? So is our staying in the same though, since we voted on it again and passed the whole thing for the county?
I would assume, but
Didn't
in
know.
the absence of information.
I know, it's like, I don't have my 2025
So,
taxes yet.
In interest of time and in moving the ball forward, one of the things, I've got a couple of questions written out, but I think one of the things we need to have here is kind of an idea of what that draft letter looks like. And we need to kind of have a budget,
We do,
and then
yeah.
that resolution can kind of be
And,
there,
and
so.
so when we talk
Do we
about,
have approximates of how many property owners there are within the city's jurisdiction?
We've got to get that, and that's one of the to-dos, is work with the Department of Revenue to get that
Well,
information.
we
we
should
don't-
know that
We
because
don't have an
short-term
idea at
rentals,
all?
short-term rentals.
No, well, no,
No,
that's
no.
not a very good, but the
Those are
number
just
of
residents.
residences.
You
Yeah.
had,
But
you
the
had to do
short-term
a,
rental percentage is based on the number of residents.
no,
right.
But the
But
problem
we
is the
also have empty
residents.
lots.
okay, stop, one person at a time. We do not have the number of residential units yet. We're still waiting on that number from Tom Coley, so we do not have that updated number yet. But this will also include vacant lots, and it will include commercial properties. So we will have to get the total number
Okay.
of property owners, not just and does
That's
one
just-
property owner, if you have multiple units, like you own multiple places,
Can I vote twice?
can.
Yeah, because, your vote pertains to all of your properties, so.
But you only sign once. You don't
Yeah.
sign for each property. You just
Right.
sign
well,
once, right?
you're consenting for each of your properties.
Properties. Yeah, I just am curious how
What if
that.
I only
need
want to split it up
40%
and
of
have
it.
one or the other?
Property
Property
value.
owners and 40%.
So like I said, I've got a
Property
couple of
value.
action items that come back to me and staff, and,
Okay.
and that'll work with the Department of Revenue, and see if we can get that list. Come up with a budget, and then maybe a draft of what that letter would look. Actually, do you guys want to work on the draft of the letter? Or do you want us to do that?
I don't think we're there yet. Let's not do anything until we get past
Well,
this
just-
resolution.
I think we ought to have the draft of the letter before we pass the resolution, just so we kind of know what it looks like, but.
They can go at the same time.
You
Steal
know,
ideas from the fire department and
Pardon?
the ambulance.
Have them write the draft.
Here's where I'm thinking, okay, it's easy to identify homes because they have addresses, but vacant lots do not all have the addresses. So you're gonna have to go by legal description.
So
That's why we're going to the
they're
Department
gonna
of
just go to the
Revenue.
Department of Revenue and get them to put together a list.
So I'm guessing that this draft letter should have legal description. So if there is one owner that has multiple properties, it would be legal descriptions all the way down, so you'd know how many votes you have.
Well, no, you only vote once.
No, it's one for each legal
No,
description.
no,
No,
you only
if
vote
you
once.
vote once, it'll count for all of your 10 properties.
That's what I'm saying. So that you have to make certain that when you vote, you know that you're voting for 10
Well,
properties.
it just counts as a percentage of the property. Yeah, we'll take care of that from there.
Do you want to go on?
Yeah, but that, I mean, it doesn't
But
matter.
there's an advantage if we were able to group all of the, Rod owns 127 properties.
In one
If we can
letter.
send one mailing out,
Well,
that
yeah,
would
I
be
mean,
save us
he's
on
only gonna
postage,
get one
too.
petition for his properties. He's not going to get 5 petitions, he doesn't sign 5 times. That's where the 40% value comes in.
We would only send it to the expensive property.
You can't, because you need 40% of the property owners as well, so,
That's the same 40%.
but to your thinking,
yeah.
what we can do, if we don't get responses in and you prioritize reaching out to people, I'm calling the person with 127 properties and explaining to them, here's why this is a good, and
You
here's
and
a
me
bad.
both.
So,
I'm starting at the top of the list of who owns the most expensive and go down the list. And when it says that it has to be one owner of 40% of the properties, as well as 2 owners of taxable properties, I'm still gonna be going for the most expensive, because it doesn't say plus. It says or.
no,
No,
it's both.
Oh, okay. So couldn't it be both? In other words, if you had 2 owners representing, 2 owners
So
of property
that's not
representing
2 owners,
40%.
that's a bulleted list written out in a paragraph, 1, 2, that's not 2 owners. That's item number
Oh,
2 is it
got it.
must have owners.
Okay, so if you had the owners of the property representing 40% more of taxable value, isn't that the same as 40% or more? That's,
Not necessarily, because if you have $1 million property, you eat up a bigger percentage of the needed 40% of value, but you
percent.
don't get the,
percent,
but you're just an account.
yeah.
Okay, so obviously this still needs work done.
No, like I said,
So
this is, and that's, we're getting exactly what the intent was, to get this out
Okay.
here and generate the conversation.
All right,
I feel good with some action items of that
Okay.
to take on for next time.
okay. Okay, as far as the letter goes, I mean, I don't mind reviewing it and input in it, but I don't necessarily know that I wanna write it.
Okay. It's easier to be an editor than a composer, I
It
get it.
is, yeah.
Maybe
With that.
Denison could start that letter and.
Yeah, I'll take it from a staff standpoint, so.
Okay. All right, are we good on this, to have this conversation tonight?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just kind of talk about what it is, and it's, we identified several next steps. There's some additional homework, specifically Department of Revenue. And then I would note that even, you know, the wording, and just solicit if there's any others there. I would say we're gonna rework the therefores. That'll include, adding, working with Department of Revenue and also establishing a budget.
You need to develop a PR campaign.
I know, that's my main thing, is like, you can't
We're
just mail
raising your
this out.
taxes won't, really get the job done.
No, you can't just mail this out and expect people to sign it and say, yeah, I'm good with this. So I think that's the,
You gotta get the
That's the
talking
big
points
thing.
as to why this is good.
and that needs to be in the letter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
those talking points.
I think Rod's point is, yeah, expand, we talked about the letter, but I think that letter is after you have a PR approach to it.
Yeah.
To clarify all the rumors.
Oh,
Because
more
even the
so, so
ambulance
when you
district
get
didn't
it,
go well
you
when it
know
was like,
what
we're
you're
gonna raise
getting.
their taxes. That was
Right.
the extent of the explanation.
No, again, it should be the conversation first, where then people know when they get that coming in, it's not immediate. No. I almost used one of my, I'm gonna save it for tonight.
I'll bring the e-collar,
Why, how is it going to improve my life?
Right.
yeah.
What am I gonna get for this,
Yeah.
that I'm not already getting?
3-minute video animation, have AI generate it, put
Oh,
it
that'd
on the
be fun.
social.
I like it.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess if we could all, maybe public health and safety could help us with some of those PR points on the need for the additional funding for public health and safety.
Tom may be able to help you too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he sold the committee on it last time he was here, so.
yeah.
Yeah, I think really big talking points, what is that money gonna be spent on now at the city
Yeah.
level? How is that gonna benefit the taxpayer? How much is the weight of that? So your taxes are going up X here, but it's actually a value because they're not being wasted here. I don't know if that's actually a number. But
Let's
I,
not use the term wasted in that discussion.
well, more so I think of the way that we're locked in with mills. And
Which is
I don't
really
know,
fun.
like-
We've lost that 22% of purchasing power over the last 20 years.
right.
And we're gonna continue to lose.
So a
based
little
on
bit
that.
of that, like how it extends the taxpayer's dollar, essentially. And where you would be spending X here if it went through mills, you're actually spending less here, though it is more, if that makes sense.
No,
Well,
that
What's
makes
our,
0 sense to me. And
I
know what
think
you're talking
that,
about.
one of the things we need to put in there too is what Tom had said at the last meeting about, it's better for the fire department if it's all under one roof.
Yeah.
And they can, they're better
Allocate the
able.
money.
Yeah, allocate the money and budget and,
I support that too.
rather than the city contracting with them, it's all just Red Lodge Rural Fire Department. And then to the mayor's point, if it's that way, we're gonna be paying the same for fire protection that someone else is outside of the city limits. Or
Yeah.
right now, we're paying more. for
That's what I'm saying,
residents.
that's exactly what I was trying to lean into, is how we are paying more
Then-
versus like,
then the
your
county.
dollars, when you pay it through city taxes, X amount is going to the fire department. If you paid it through county, this amount is what you would be paying to the fire department. So hopefully that's less.
They're not saving this.
so
That's the
we're-
problem.
You're not saving this, but I'm just saying, is you're getting more of a value.
A word just to manage expectations, so there is a potential, additional element that may come into play here too, and it's, so right now, they have a lot of assets that they're buying, like if they buy a fire truck and whatnot, and we've been putting into that budget as well. But there's a possibility that they're gonna come back and say, this is okay, but there's a buy-in dollar amount that we may have to do something from reserve. So the closest thing I know how to compare it to is like, I joined the flight club when I moved to Red Lodge 20 years ago. I joined the flight club. So the first thing you do is you buy into it. So they already own the airplane. And so you have to write out a check for a couple $1,000s so that you have your share of the assets that are on hand. There's a discussion about, yeah, but have we already been chipping in? Or did other people chip in more money than we did, just to make sure it's fair? I don't know that it's unfair, but I know that was raised as part of that conversation, just to share that.
Bullshit to me, but.
Well,
I use it.
you have to go back to, currently, the city's paying higher per property than they would.
So we're chipping in more than
We're
everybody
actually
else.
chipping in
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, that's,
Oh,
That's-
I'm not arguing with you.
I think we bought in.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
we've been paying dollars already out of our resort taxes, we have bought in.
Yeah.
Well, there's none out of
None.
resort tax right now.
No fire.
Well, I'm just saying, like, out of resort tax, we have paid for trucks, we have paid for some of their equipment, is that incorrect?
That is incorrect.
Okay.
We have not
So-
done that yet.
So there was,
That was what we were hoping to
The city
do.
owns a fire truck that they have. When we first,
Did that, okay, that's, I was gonna say, I know we had bought
Yep, we
something.
still own a
Yeah,
fire
There's
truck.
our buy-in.
we,
There it
at
is.
the point of merger, we came in with the truck.
Yeah,
So like,
You're gonna
I'm
say, well,
not,
it's old
I'm
now,
not
it's
arguing
not
with
working
your
out.
logic or his.
yeah.
I'm just telling you that I know that's been part of the conversation and the back and forth of this over the last year.
I think we've bought in as a city after all these years. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's all, think of some PR points, and if public health and safety, you could think of some
I'll
from
put it on the
a
agenda.
standpoint for public health and safety. And we will.
I like you guys coming up with additional PR points too, because I can
Yeah.
put together what I have and then you guys do, so that's wonderful,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, okay. So are we good with this for tonight, where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay. So authorize, Buzz Lightyear Community Foundation to prepare the Montana Main Street grant. So is this the Main Street program, or is this a different grant?
This is a grant, so there, in the packet, there are two things. There's the Main Street program, which we have to sign on to and be there, but right before that, there was a one-page letter from Kat, who had originally reached out and said, hey, are you the city going to go for this? And if not, can we go for it? And I said, let me check on a couple of things. And so I called and checked on a property acquisition and a possibility of applying to this for the purpose of the Brewery Hill. And the response we got back is they don't tend to approve them for, they don't see this program as good for property acquisition or sidewalks, were the two specific things that they said in the response. And so
Okay.
with that, Kat's gone ahead and said, hey, we'll do it. I saw it passed up, I didn't see what you're shooting for yet. Do you have a better idea?
Yes, so we're hoping that we can, take out all of the asphalt on the south side where Yodeler is, and make it a green space. This is a project that they've helped us, along Broadway with before, so we're fairly confident, although we wouldn't know whether or not they would approve it or not, but it's a similar ask, and it's a similar size. It's just, the location of it is now on 17th, so where the stage is out,
Right.
which used to be a basketball field court, we're hoping
Right.
to make into a green space, which would really help us out by saying another large green space that doesn't have to be maintained or managed by the city doesn't have to maintain a large green space, and then it would help us out because it's a better, venue for having Summerfest.
So do they typically, park there? Is that a parking lot right now?
Yes.
So
and
where would people park?
So we would be able, they won't pay for parking,
Okay.
but from 2017, there's a parallel parking plan that, has parallel parking spots along Hauser and also on 17th. They wouldn't fund that, but we've talked to, the only people who really, this has really affected would be tenants who park there every day. Most
Right.
of the people who come to events are used to not being able to park in our parking lot, because it's not really a parking lot, and it only fits like 12 cars. So we would eventually love to have more parallel parking along that, but we would probably just pay to stripe, Hauser. That's the only one that wouldn't need any trees cut down.
And when
Did I,
when you
did
say
I,
parallel, are you saying diagonal? or-
Diagonal, sorry.
did I hear you right that you're talking about taking out the sidewalk on 17th?
There is no sidewalk.
No,
inside.
Yeah.
There is
The
no.
asphalt inside,
Inside their
property.
property zone, yeah,
Oh.
where they
Yeah,
have
where the
Taking
parking
out
lot
the
is.
parking lot.
yeah.
Yeah, there's an old basketball court that's very uneven and
It's
pretty
sketchy as hell.
impossible to-
And
Have
that
you
parking
talked to
lot's
Ray?
always full.
So there are about, from where the, East Garden starts to where the stage is now, we've had probably only 12 people can park there.
But you also have handicap there.
No, our handicap spot stays the same. It's the same one that's been since it's a school, where there is an actual sidewalk, and that's, on parallel to 16th in the alley. It's our only handicap accessible route, because it's not a handicap approved on our
Building.
south side.
Have you talked to Mickey at all to get her feedback on how doable that is?
I have not, I wanted to make sure that it was a viable option
Yeah.
to go forward, but it is something that they funded just on the Broadway side, so we're hoping that that's a similar grant request ask.
So the real, let me break the question down from my standpoint, I see it as a two-point thing. One, is there anything from a city standpoint that you think we ought to be looking at applying for that money ourselves, but there's a really short time frame? B, if we can identify that, and the two ideas I had got shot down, are we okay supporting and having them do the work, and we basically support and be a pass-through to them, which is what we've done in the past? And Lonnie, do you want to add anything to that, or is that process-wise kind of?
my only comment is that I think the city should start applying for this, There's a lot of projects out there. I mean, the money we are using from resort tax for Pride Park,
Yep.
that would have been an absolute perfect project to use this money for.
Yep.
We
And
could
so-
still use it.
But I'm just
I feel like
saying,
we're-
we're passing this up every single
okay.
time it's open.
When's our deadline?
November 13th,
14th.
14th, and there's a match requirement.
Yeah. So, and I mean,
Which
I
we
have
can
no
match with
problem
George.
with the community foundation applying for it, but I've also heard, from the Department of Commerce that they would appreciate it if someone else would occasionally apply for the money besides just the community foundation.
What
So-
other project, and I already, when Kat called me, I told her, first off, if we come up with a project,
Okay.
we're going for it, we're bumping you, so that's already part of the conversation.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, agrees 100% with
Pride
all
Park.
this. Yes, Pride Park. But more so, and again, here's kind of my thought with it, is that would be a perfect opportunity, the fact that we have the Rocky Fork Inn as a park space that's gonna be coming up. If we want signage, we had all this wayfinding signage that just got spent on by a T-bid. There's a lot of projects within this area that we could be spending this on, and no offense to the Roosevelt Center, love that you guys have been, I love the fact that this has been getting utilized and you guys have been getting awarded. I think that's fantastic. I think they've done a great job with their funding. That being said, I think a good way to do this is putting this on Mike Maple's radar, on the Parks Board radar every year, and getting it to where we're not a month away from the deadline, where they can actually be putting in the focus and the energy to get these projects done and get these grants approved. Two, I think we could also put this forward to a lot of our MOU users, that each year, again, call it May 3rd, I don't care what day, but it goes out to all of our users in the area that could potentially work for this and vie for this, and bring this to resort tax so they could be planning for matches for these types of things.
And
Even before we know the
Okay.
money's available, just we know,
so let
anticipate.
Kat speak here for just a second.
I will say that there is a large portion of this that's behind the scenes that we do every single month to report to the state for, which
Yep.
we haven't had any help with, so it's been Boise and I doing. a lot
Right,
of
I've
that.
seen the emails, yes, yes.
Which is fine, if you guys have an economic development group that would wanna take that
Right.
reporting on, fabulous. But we wouldn't wanna lose our designation as a Main Street community because that's not being done. And if the Roosevelt is probably not, we wouldn't have much of an incentive to continue to do that reporting every month. at
Oh,
this
yeah,
point.
if you're
So-
not getting the money.
Yeah,
Right,
Exactly.
yeah,
And so this is what I was gonna go into next, is for this year, I don't think we have the wherewithal, the timing, or the infrastructure in place at a city level to actually apply for this. I think that we should give the go-ahead to CAT. Now, that being said, I see the missed opportunity. And
Yes.
I would like that to not be a missed opportunity anymore.
And
Now, that being said, I also don't have the wherewithal to take over the reporting and all of these
I know.
pieces, because I know
Well,
that's exactly where the next
And I think
conversation
maybe
will
what
go.
we do is we take turns,
Yeah, well, I
you
love
know.
that.
you know, that, so
Yeah.
that it's not like, I get the money, I get the money, I get the money. It's like, let's all take a turn, because I know the chamber was also looking at some projects too,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
They
and-
could use an update.
And this is only for discussion tonight, so we have 2 weeks before, we have 2 weeks to say if we wanna submit and/or to say, yes, we're gonna support them doing it because we don't feel we have the time to take it on right now.
Right.
And I, when this came to me in just a short window, like I said, I identified 2 projects that got shut down. I've heard.
They
Pride
have
Park-
different criteria, they have to impact, tourism, you know,
Yeah,
in,
well-
on the main street.
And Pride Park could absolutely do it. The restroom downtown has been a conversation we've had, whether
Yep.
we're buying another building or building one or something. That I would love to have seen in the other grant that we got down there. It's not in there. So, like I said, there's some other projects. Maybe tonight folks will have some other, and we'll see if we can make it materialize in 2 weeks. Or if not,
Okay.
we'll say, go for it.
Okay, Rod?
As a member of the public, I'm just looking for some background, so there's just one grant available for the community per year, possibly?
There's 2, they used the planning grant, the city used the planning grant money from Main Street to do the growth, some portion of the,
Okay. But it's not like more than one
It's-
organization can apply for money and both receive, one organization
Right.
can receive money.
and then it's usually like $10,000 to $30,000. So the restrooms, I think, is a little bit,
Yeah.
unless you have a lot of matching funds.
Right.
Then I guess the other question is, with the parking, you're displacing parking from your property to public right-of-way.
True.
And so the city needs to be looking at this from, because diagonal parking, I don't have a problem with diagonal parking if it doesn't interfere with flow of traffic. We've had issues, the most obvious one is the post office,
Right.
but how does that affect, and is there room for that type of parking? What are the parking needs for the building? I'm just doing this because I got a project I'm looking at that I know I'm gonna have to answer, what are gonna be the needs for parking for the building? And the planning board has established how many parking units I need, places I need per unit.
Which may have changed.
So how does that apply to
A commercial building.
this project?
And
It's
we do have a-
just questions are gonna come up.
We had a parking study in 2017 that fit all of the actual city requirements, and most of those have changed. So I think they're the same,
But
right?
that was
From-
with parking on your property?
It's on both, so it would be on city.
Okay.
We have to cut down all of the trees that are on 17th to put in a paved sidewalk plus the curb stops that are required. And that's like, so far, $100,000 project. So this would be. step
Easily.
one. Yeah, we don't have 6 figures yet,
But
but we
just-
would be getting.
Just trying to figure out the impact on the neighborhood. So one side of you is residential. So what will the parking, displacing parking off of your property, how will that affect your residential
On
neighbors?
Hauser.
It's
And
the
your business neighbors?
4 cars that are currently parked there and are across the street house their neighbors,
Uh-huh.
and they park there every day.
Yep.
So this, putting in diagonal parking, not parallel, sorry, would actually increase it. I think it's like 3 times as many parking spots.
And you have this all on paper and drawn out?
It's on the Roosevelt website under planning documents, and so there's a 2017 parking study.
Okay.
And that's the least
And
expensive one.
and how has the use of the building changed in 10 years?
It hasn't, that one stayed.
You still have the same number of tenants and uses?
The
and-
parking study is for like 300-person events, and we haven't really hit that yet. We're not quite there.
Sorry,
People,
I'm not
how many
speaking,
people came
overstepping my
to the,
bounds.
festival,
Summerfest?
Summerfest this year?
500 each day-ish, so 900.
But the day was 500,
Yep, and none of them parked on our location. So we didn't, we blocked out,
because we had to rent at the spot across the way.
correct, and
They parked at
And
my
that
office.
was the one that we inquired about, by the way. And they said, no, we don't do that.
All right, so we will discuss this tonight. I kind of do feel that we're kind of late to the game for this year.
Mhm.
We're applying for it, I agree with Chelsea on that. But I do hate, I guess, that we aren't utilizing grants that are available to the city to get some of these projects done.
And I'm not giving up on it, and like I said, and I, part of why I said that here with Kat here, so she could vouch, that was part of our conversation. I think there's a real likelihood, it's a real possibility that we may not have something ready to go, and I'd hate to see us not go for it. But, and I'll see where Mike is and what our load is, but I heard 2 things. One, we've got a short time frame to be ready for it.
Right.
2, we may well need to figure out how we're going to address our ability to maintain our position in the Main Street, which kind of goes back to your earlier comment, the
Mhm.
other documentation that's there, that we need to maintain our ability, because right now, they're saying like, hey, because we have the benefit, we're willing to put out this work to help you maintain that status. If you take away our candy, we may not be so eager to volunteer for that.
Kat, is there a steering committee?
yes, there's one that we just put people, so there's an email chain.
Okay.
The mayor is on it, Bill Swayze's on it,
I'm on it.
Jody's on it.
Chambers on it.
Chambers
Okay.
on it,
Yeah.
Mary Beth and myself.
Okay, that's a good steering committee.
And the only last thing I will say is that since it's a cyclical annual event or, opening for the planning grant, that one is, you guys kind of left $10,000 to $30,000 on the table because it wasn't closed out within the year, so then no one could apply for it for that year.
We did get that.
Right, but it took 2 years to close, 2 grant
Okay.
cycle years to close it, so
Okay.
that so that's part of the conversation for tonight, if that's okay.
Hi, Tom.
I'm kind of curious, I'm kind of curious why we would, the Main Street, grant, wouldn't it the park be a better fit for that to start with? I mean,
I don't think it's
Right in the
necessarily
middle of
that,
downtown?
I mean, you can talk about, you know, what would be a better project and stuff like that, but it's
It's
any
a matter
project
of-
that helps with tourism
Yeah.
downtown.
And I'm gonna be talking to her in person in the next 3 days, so, like I said, I'm not laying down and playing dead on this yet.
I just think we could probably start taking turns applying for it, but we all need to
Sounds like we
be
have.
ready for it, you know, and if
Better
Yep.
prepared in the future.
better prepared in the future, like, it's the city's turn this year, do we have a project? If we don't have a project, it goes to the chamber. If the chamber doesn't have a project, it goes to the community foundation.
I think
No, Yep, sorry.
also determining whose responsibility it is to be doing all this paperwork. Because again, here's the thing for me. Community Foundation needs us for this grant to happen. And we lean on you to do the infrastructure piece, the reporting. But I think it just needs to be a better relationship across the board with more support from us when we do have, as you mentioned, a deadline coming up and we're not hitting it. Where's that communication piece? And that's why I ask about the steering committee, not just an email chain. Because I know myself, I'm a lot more accountable if I'm showing up to a meeting than if I'm seeing the email.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I like the email. It goes into my to-do list, but it also tends to go to the bottom of my to-do list if I don't want to do it. So,
hear you say you want more meetings.
Yes.
actually,
Along those lines, I have a meeting that I have to run to now, and I will
And
come.
we already finished talking about the fire stuff, so.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
missed it.
Okay.
But that's okay,
All right.
you can chime in now before you go, since you showed up.
you're here.
I have a bunch of follow-up notes already, so you have homework coming.
Okay. Maybe I should say, do you have questions for me, and then I've got a couple of thoughts, but.
Oodles, but probably more questions than you have time for and we have time for.
Okay, all right. I think just the quick version is, the way that resolution's written, I would not put that out there at all. It's,
That's kind of where we're at. Yep.
I think understanding something that's a key piece is this is a tax cut to fire protection. So we're reducing the amount of taxes that go to fire protection, and it's a tax increase to the city's general fund, even though it goes as a change, but just being very clear, it is a tax cut to fire protection. It's a cut in what we're pushing the fire protection, and it is a significant increase to what we're putting into the city's general fund. That just has to be part of the messaging of it, and then we have to figure out before we push this out, because right now, if I asked, I would say I probably would not support it, until we can address how we'll deal with that funding difference. So that's maybe my short version. Do you need me to come to the council meeting tonight, or?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, it's not ready for
Okay,
anything.
not ready for
It's-
prime time.
Yeah.
This, but I do
Happy
think,
to spend time and work on it and do whatever we need to
but
do.
by having a resolution, good, bad, or otherwise, that generated a lot of good conversation and to-do items and actions.
Okay,
And the recording will be available, and I can follow up with you later as well.
okay, sounds great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Was I wrong in thinking it was at 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
at 9:15.
I got a question for you, real quick. Last meeting, you were in support of moving in this direction.
Yes, 100% support.
Okay, so what are you must have some general thoughts as to how to make up the difference?
I do, it's resort tax.
Okay,
It's the only, I mean, there may be other ways. You know, the only, as far as I can see, there's two options, right? In order to make up the difference, either we do this and then we go back and ask for another tax increase, right? Because we're gonna have to make up the difference. Because, I mean, there's just no way we can continue without that difference. And we already need more funding. So the piece is, so I would go back to that, the mayor and I had pushed around a draft agreement that would provide dedicated resort tax funds for fire protection, which we're the only resort taxing entity that does not put money towards fire protection. Or at least if there's one or two out there, I don't know who they are. And several resort tax districts only put money towards, fire protection. And so, I think that it's what makes the most sense in my mind right now. There may be other options on how to fill that, but we have to fill that funding, right? So,
Tom, can I, when you
Yeah.
say it's a tax cut to fire protection?
Yeah.
Is that, and you're not gonna like my wording, but it's the best way I know how to articulate it.
Fine.
Is that because of the disproportionate amount that we're currently paying, that the city's paying more than?
No, it just means that currently taxpayers, right, are paying, let's just say currently they're paying 28 mills for fire protection.
Okay,
If this goes through, they will only pay 22 mills for fire
which
protection.
is the same as everybody else's.
But
paying,
that
and that's
is
where the
a
difference is coming
tax,
from.
that's a tax cut.
Of
You guys-
6%.
Yeah, it's 40% cut, in.
Well, you're gonna
we're a
get
large
22
portion.
and we're 28.
20, we're gonna, mills are a little funky, it's a little hard to,
That's the real problem.
yes, but, yeah, it is. The system needs to change. We need to do something differently. I don't disagree with that. But so it's a 40% reduction in what the city's funding for fire protection is what it turns out to be. Off of this budget year. So that's significant, you know. That's a huge amount of money, so.
So dollar-wise, it would be what,
80,000.
80,000? Okay.
That's rough numbers. Top of my head numbers.
From what we paid this year, or, okay, plus this year's was lower than last year,
Yes, that's correct.
so.
Yes.
But that's stuff that's completely outside of both of our controls. That's the Mills game and how it is.
Right, yeah, no, I absolutely understand.
And my anticipation pretty solidly is that you're gonna see that swing drastically the other direction next year. That your value of your mills are gonna go up. You know, if you look at just, from this year to next year, if you say every home that's not owned by somebody, who lives in it full-time is
Right.
gonna go from 0.7 to 1.9.
And 30% of our homes
And if
in
you
Red
say
Lodge
it's 30% and you
are second
take
homes.
that value and you run that value and you multiply that, what that 0.7 to 1.9 is, it's gonna move the needle in a big way, so.
Do you have the dollar amount for resort tax?
Yeah, I think what I played with is like 13% of resort tax, it's about $165,000, $175,000.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
The good news is we're moving. It's not just we're having the same conversation over and over, but that is not equivalent to we're ready to roll today.
Yeah, I think it's great. So,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right.
And I did volunteer you to help them write that resolution.
Yeah, I was gonna rewrite it. I mean, I just looked at it, I just shook my head. I apologize for that, but I was gonna rewrite it.
Now, are you about the second version or the first version? You got the second version?
I got the second version.
Okay, I just checking.
If you want, I will work on that
In the
today
first one.
and try to get that rewritten in a way that makes a little bit.
Time-wise, it doesn't matter if it's today or 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep. We got a bunch of folks down with Sean.
Yep, I'm watching pets and kids and business.
Yeah, Tom had the same question I had. What are you doing here?
You know, I think you gotta divide and conquer in
Yeah.
these things. This is a marathon, not a sprint for sure.
Yeah.
So. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so, sorry about that, Kat. Back to this. So I guess let's have a conversation about it tonight. I do, because it's just up for discussion, correct?
Correct.
And like I say, I am not opposed to the Roosevelt getting the grant this year. But I do feel that we need something moving forward. And I may be on that email chain for the steering committee, but I've done absolutely nothing. So I would, you know, it's just all of a sudden I started getting emails from Bill Foisey.
Yes.
And Sherry gets them, and, I know you get them, and, Bill and you are the primary ones that do the reporting. And so, you know, if we need to actually have people from the city that will step up and help with that, you know, so it's more of a team effort, it's not just Kat and Bill and Sherry doing it, then I'm also not opposed to that. I just need to be told what to do, I guess. So,
So,
yeah. Yeah.
Just my proposal, again, I know I'm getting hell about meetings, and I am absolutely one of those people that this meeting could have been an email, like, I am that person, but I do think maybe an annual collaboration of the minds
Or
of the
a
group.
quarterly meeting even.
Even quarterly or biannual, it doesn't have to be a lot, but just more so specifically getting all the stakeholders into one room to where, hey, these are the different options on the table, and having that open conversation and then clearly defining roles and responsibilities.
Yeah, because it is a quarterly report, if I remember right, correct? Correct, so it's a
So-
quarterly report, so
Yep.
I think, you know, we,
Again, it doesn't have to be a substantial amount of work more for the other people involved, but it shouldn't have to be this much work for them.
Well, and I think Bill is looking to lessen the dependency on him right now.
right.
Fair.
because- yeah.
Everyone's been dependent on Bill for 30 years. So it's
So,
time to
I mean,
let
and
Bill
maybe it's a
relax.
point where we need to appoint someone from the city to be on that steering committee, so they have a clear goal and they have a clear role. And, we set up those quarterly meetings to do this reporting, to gather the information, and
Yep.
just like our other
Yep.
committees that we do. But I do agree, and I think we need to come up with, that steering committee needs to come up with some type of protocol as far as who's applying for the grant, who's, you know, and if they don't have a project, it goes to the next person, and, you know, we kind of start taking turns. Because, you know, the chamber might not always have a project, so they would, you know, it would go to the next person, and then,
Well, the chamber will always have a project.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, they will,
I
but
think every group will always have
it's
a
a
project.
project, right,
Might have to have a lottery system.
right. But I,
Well, and I disagree with a lot, I think the city gets first dibs on these things by definition. If we are not able to, for any of a myriad of reasons, we don't want to leave the money on the table if we've got other groups that can step in and get it.
But then the city has to step up and take care of the bookkeeping.
Correct. That's, yeah.
well,
That's a
and
related
I don't know
conversation.
that that's necessarily true, because it's a Main Street program, which is, the city may be participating in it, but the Main Street program was originally, we were the first city in, Red Lodge was the first city in the state.
Mhm.
We were the flagship Main Street program
Yep.
back in 2005 or '6 when it started. And it was our Economic Development Corporation Board that made that happen. And then the chamber and, you know, and now the Community Foundation has stepped up. So the city has never been the one that's applied for this or done the work
But we
for
should
the
have,
program.
or it was a missed opportunity.
Right, so I guess I don't quite agree 100% that the city gets
First
dibs on,
dibs, yeah.
first dibs on money.
I think more so the city should be a stakeholder and a participating party, and it should be done for the best of the city, which that should always be the city's goal anyhow.
Right, right, so,
A bunch of letters to the city,
yes,
and you guys decide.
I know. And,
So those are my thoughts on it. Again, I say thank you to the foundation for doing what they're doing, but also city, let's step up and stop spending resort tax. I feel like a perfect example is Pride Park.
Right,
And again, we have great opportunities coming up with Rocky Fork in the future, so let's be ready for it.
yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about this tonight. Anything else on this? Thank you, Kat, for your patience in coming, and,
And this is the first we've heard about what you guys plan, because when you come in to have us sign off on it in a couple of weeks, we're gonna wanna have that detail and stuff, because that's what we're signing off on.
Yeah, we didn't want to start any of the grant process until we got approval to move forward, so
Yeah.
we'd have to pay for.
okay, thank you. Okay, we're just about out of time, we probably are out of time.
We already are, go ahead.
So I just wanna, my goal, and I hope it's your guys' goal too, is I wanna, we have the short-term rental annual report, that's just gonna be plugging in the numbers, I think, to the last year, so that shouldn't be too hard. And then, I wanna get that business registration ordinance taken care of before the end of the year,
Yes.
so that we're not, Cindy won't be here next year, and so it'd be nice to have that put to bed. So, those will be our two, I'd like to move that business registration or up a little higher, so we can start working on that if you guys are okay with that.
So we can get to it.
Any other comments, or anybody online?
Did you guys get all of the copies that I had sent? Or did I send those? Of all the stuff that I have done, the drafted copies, the lined item copies, I feel like it would have been about 3 months ago that I sent
Oh,
them.
How does somebody know if they've received all of it? They can say, I received 3, and then,
Why don't
but
you
how do you have
resend?
knowledge
I'll
that they
resend.
understand?
Why don't you resend and then that way?
Yeah,
Yep.
it'll be at the top of our inbox.
I have a question about a city restroom. When and if Eagles Nest is approved,
We will not be able to put a restroom on that property if it's purchased with FEMA
not
dollars.
even on the street portion?
If it was purchased with FEMA dollars, it's not an
Okay.
option.
I just knew that some of those were not in the floodway.
Yeah,
they're
but,
part of
but, but
property.
the acquisition is part of the deal there. Now, we have had conversations about somebody coming and buying some of those privately, so so,
The
we-
city can sell it?
pardon? No,
No.
they buy it from Sean rather than the city buying it
Oh.
from Sean. So if we buy all the back lots and they buy the front lot, then that restroom becomes an option, but that's dependent on somebody else's money to do that. But there are interested
not gonna
parties
put a
who come in and
restroom next to
discuss
that.
that.
Anything else?
Just comment on getting a piece of ground that you could put a public restroom in that area because it's a recreational area, which will have people in need
Yes.
of a restroom. So it would be good to have something on that end of town. So it would be worth a conversation to figure out how to pursue even where the Blue House is at, a
Yeah.
restroom.
How about
That's been private.
Penn
The
Park?
one at the foundation is publicly available too. That's part of, that.
Inside?
They're using some of the funding of that tourism grant.
Yeah, but people don't know it.
Still-
People never know that. And if
Nobody
it's
knows where they
unlocked,
are.
The immediate area.
As far as I know, it's the Pollard, it's,
True Value.
Ace, I know, I try not to say that.
Oh, right,
Ace.
yep, they've changed.
You know, those are public
Right.
restrooms,
But
but
when
nobody
you're talking-
knows it.
You're talking a mile that way.
Yeah,
Somebody's gotta
exactly.
go, who's not
That's why I
gonna
was
go a
thinking,
mile.
that's why I was thinking down there, it'd be nice to have something, but that's why
I
Rotary
don't know
Park
if they
has
don't be in the
always
flood
come up as
zone.
a public restroom. And the city does provide.
How much would one of those lots be in the front, where the city, I mean, could we, because we
I
could
don't
buy
know
it
that
with the
specific,
resort
but we
tax.
do have the appraisals on all of those and part of our prep for the FEMA stuff.
Well, I'm just wondering if.
About
if-
100,000 for the lot, but then you're gonna have to demolish the building.
Right,
And there
but,
could be financial incentives to the current property owner to donate as matching.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So
Because it's already got water and
There's
sewer.
some approaches that could be explored.
It's already got water and sewer.
Yeah, I said those are all valid conversations and good conversations. Like I said, and there's actually been a couple of private donors that have come forth at one point that was looking at going out and making an offer, but I think it's not as good as the FEMA offer if the FEMA offer comes through, so.
Okay. No, Finn Park is in the floodway.
But we don't know, because the new floodway is not
I
out
was
yet.
gonna say, we don't
have
have
our
that.
best guess, but.
That's our best guess. That if the Eagles Nest is in the floodway, so would Finn Park.
Are they figuring that it's going to expand versus contract since the,
It's gonna move and relocate, and like I said, I've got that information, but it's also just the best information that's gonna come out later this year.
Okay, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Gonna hit the